lot of businesses wonder if online marketing is a missed opportunity for them.
Yeah.
And I would say 9 times out of 10, it probably is.
Welcome to Seven Figure Entrepreneur Podcast. We are going to be talking to you today about online marketing for small businesses, which I feel is a great topic, especially now during COVID times, lockdown. Businesses are trying to find a way to sell stuff online. You got to do it. You got to transition. You got to get those the dual incomes rolling. You know, maybe some storefront if it opens back up, but also the online stuff.
Absolutely.
There's money to be made, regardless of what industry you're in. Regardless. All right. So where do you want to start this off at?
I think just talking about online marketing as a whole, like a lot of businesses wonder if online marketing is a missed opportunity for them.
Yeah.
And I would say 9 times out of 10, it probably is. And a lot of businesses that I've met that do online marketing, I think have a backwards way of thinking about it. And what I mean by that is they'll be like, hey, okay, we're going to allocate $4,000 this month to online marketing. The missing piece is they have no idea what that makes them.
Yeah.
So maybe they go out there, they spend the money, but they don't know how that actually returns back into their cash registers, into the profit, into the bottom line. Because my thought process is if you spend $4,000 and you make $12,000, that's a great return.
For sure.
Obviously, this is after paying your employees, after paying everything. But at the end of the day, if you're making a return on your marketing, I would really encourage you to spend more on your marketing. But the missing piece is I don't think they're tracking it.
I feel like even if you break even on it, it's worth it. But I find that, like you were saying, people just throw away their budgets. They're just like, yeah, well, we got thousands of eyes on our stuff, so that's worth it. But unless you're Coca-Cola or something like that, I mean, who gives a shit? But at the same time, and I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that they can break down that metric and understand what kind of return they're getting on billboards and such in some crazy math way that I just can't comprehend, you know?
I know there are metrics that they definitely look for and whatnot, but just to give an example of kind of what I'm talking about now, I know a very successful doctor. He owns 7 clinics. We got the opportunity to talk about his online marketing one time. And I asked him basically, hey, do you know how much a lead costs you? And he's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, cool. How many of the leads that you receive every day that sign up on your website, how many of them do you get on the phone? And he's like, I couldn't tell you. I'm like, okay, well, do you know if you make money on your advertising? Is actually a profit center for you? He's like, I really couldn't tell you. If he knew what he was doing was producing an amazing ROI for his business, he'd allocate more money. But the disconnect is he just doesn't know. And I think, he's not, dumb or anything. He's a doctor. He's so busy with his clinics and his practice that he just doesn't know this part of the world or of the, the online world, especially. So I think if a business is not taking advantage of all the opportunities that are available online now, it's definitely a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, I'd really agree. The other thing that we're seeing right now too is just the amount of people that are bringing stuff online and stuff that you would never think before, and the expenses that they're saving. We had an example of so we do lead generation, and we had an example of a lot of call centers being closed down. And this so much isn't due to online marketing as much, but they're just transferring stuff to work from home, which makes it a little bit more efficient. So I feel like with this, you can just be more efficient during these times, regardless if you're closing down that office, closing down that storefront, moving stuff online, moving stuff at home. And I know that doesn't really touch on online marketing, but it's a good example. Also, Spin Studios. That one I thought was really cool because they were advertising via Instagram, I think mostly, not actually paid for advertising, but it's still a form about how you can just rent a bike from them. Rent a bike for like $350 a month and then sign up to their monthly.
That's something they're doing in Vancouver, right?
Yeah, which is genius.
So, could you explain this a little bit more? Because we were not doing this in Florida.
So basically what was happening is like all these spin studios have these expensive bikes that a majority of them don't buy these bikes. They rent them out, right, for their studio, whatever, or finance them. I'm not sure exactly how it works. Either way, a majority of them don't buy them. So they're sitting there making payments on these bikes, and they're like, okay, what are we going to do? So they gave their students, or anyone who was at this, they don't even have to be a student, but they gave a person the opportunity to rent the spin bike. They'll deliver it to your house. And then with that, you get, you pay a monthly fee, let's call it $300 a month. And then with that, you also get to do online training as many days as you want.
Wow.
So they basically took an in-house business that you would never think could go into an online sort of way. And now they're doing it digitally with video, and they were advertising it via Instagram.
Such a great way to get more reach of the assets you already have.
Yeah. And my assumption on it is I doubt they made tons of money with it, but it keeps them afloat, keeps them sustained until this stops rolling. And it keeps that brand recognition going. And I've seen so many brands die off during this time that I feel like online way is the only way to keep your name rolling, because people aren't coming into your storefronts.
I think if anything too, that like overall, as much as COVID's been a pain in everyone's ass, it's also pushed a lot of things that help anyone who's online, meaning the older generation that wasn't so used to doing things online is now been forced to take advantage of online things simply because they maybe couldn't go to the grocery store, and they didn't like the idea of Amazon before. But now, in America, when there's 1 day shipping, they get something the next day and they didn't have to go anywhere. It really opens their eyes, or Uber Eats and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's open a lot of channels. As far as any local business that are looking to advertise, a lot of people ask me what mediums do I think would make most sense, or where should they advertise? And first of all, I think I'm not a fan of SEO. And the reason for that is, in my opinion, I've been in the online world, 12 years we've done it now?
Yeah, give or take.
And to me, and I'm far from an SEO expert, but it's more of a black box, meaning you're paying for something and you never know when it's going to come through. It could happen, who knows, maybe you'll rank right away, or maybe you won't rank for 2 years. Either way, you're still paying monthly. The thing I like about Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube, is you pay for impressions.
Yeah.
And some channels, like especially all of them really, like Google search can be pricier, but like YouTube ads, Facebook ads, overall, they're pretty cost-effective mediums, meaning you can get your message exactly in the people you want to get it from for pennies.
And I feel like it's so applicable to almost anybody. Like, even if you're a restaurant now, you have DoorDash, right? Or Uber Eats if you're in America. You can advertise that you're on there now. You can, like, I feel like there's so many ways to keep your business afloat, even if you can't have that storefront open, with online marketing.
Yeah, definitely adds a new dynamic to your business.
And I think that the benefit of it forces people to do this. And once everything opens back up, like, you're going to have two different streams. Well, maybe not. I shouldn't call it two different streams. I guess it's two different streams of customers, not income.
If anything too, hopefully you've attracted a whole new market. So now you have, as opposed to maybe the 300 customers you used to serve before, maybe you brought in another 100 customers. And I think one thing I'd really encourage business owners to think about when they start investing in online channels is, don't always think about that first sale. Meaning, if it costs you $20 to get a client in the door that spends $20 with you, don't think, hey, this is a failure. I want you to think, this is my opportunity to build a repeat customer relationship. Because if that customer comes in and spends $20 5 times a month with you for, the next 2 years, or whatever it is, maybe it's not a realistic situation, but the return you just made to get a repeat customer like that is unreal. One of the best investments you would ever make.
Yeah. And the other thing too, if you are not very tech savvy and you don't really want to bring stuff online, there's loads of services these days where people can bring your business online, or agencies that can advertise for you for fairly affordable. I mean, there's ones that are going to be stupid expensive, but I'm assuming if you're a smaller budget like business, there's someone that can meet those needs as well. So
totally. And if anything too, the channels, Facebook, Google, they've made it easier than ever. Like, I know Google, when you set up a new account, they actually have someone that help you build your first campaign on top of
Mhm.
like just going through setting up a Google account. You have to set up a campaign, and they walk you through it step by step. And you can also reach out to someone, they can help you with it. I know Facebook's doing more of a push to the same thing too.
Yeah.
They just make things so intuitive and so easy nowadays
Mhm.
that it's like, it's not, before it was one of those things that was kind of complicated, and there's still some level of complication to it, but it's also never been simpler.
Yeah. And now you have the ability to geo-target, target by local area based off city or based off zip code or postal code or whatever it is. So you can really pinpoint down to exactly where you want to go and who you want to market to.
There's also really cool features like something called a lookalike audience. Do you want to explain how a lookalike audience works?
Yeah. So let's say you have a customer list of emails. Um, you can basically input that into Facebook, and it creates a, I guess, an audience that is similar to those people that you've inputted. So let's say, for example, I like cars, I like eating pizza, I don't know, whatever. You input me in there, it's going to find more people in my age group that like cars and pizza locally. Like, so it's just basically finding lookalikes of me, um, which is great because it's basically doing all the grunt work for you. You just drop it in, creates a list for you, and then you market to it, and bingo, bango, it should work.
That's And like one of the ways we recommend, obviously, you use this is you take a list of your best customers,
Yeah.
customers that have spent the most with you, probably happiest with your service
Mm-hmm.
or products, just ones that are of high value to you, and build lookalike audiences off those. Let Facebook, let Google, let them do the heavy lifting for you. You put in a little bit of input, and it's amazing what kind of return you can get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Which platform do you think that you would go for first if you were a new business? I'd go Facebook, but I'm like biased to that.
I would go with a social channel. So probably Facebook and Instagram,
Yeah.
just because of the targeting. And like, again, you can start things. If your budget was $5 a day,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can, I forget who it was. I was talking to someone recently, and a customer is worth, probably $1,000 a month to them. And they're literally just spending $10 a day, and they're getting customers from it.
Wow.
It's like unreal. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's talk about spending $1,000 a day. Let's get this exciting, right?
Yeah.
But the potential is literally unreal. Again, with the littlest resources, you can go so far. And the one thing I want to encourage you to is to harness the power of email. Meaning, when someone signs up for your website, make sure you reach out to them, even a weekly newsletter, a monthly newsletter, whatever it is. A great example of this is a friend of mine. He started working at a recruiting company, brand new, big company. I think they were like $1 billion company. And his job was to find more companies that basically were looking for people. And so what he did is he built a Friday newsletter. And what the Friday newsletter is, as he met people networking, he'd be like, hey, can I add you to my Friday newsletter? I just tell you about local restaurants, whatever. And so he would do this. He would grab their business card, ask them if they were cool with it. He'd add them to his mailing list. And it wasn't long before his mailing list was literally like thousands of people. And it was just like, hey, here's a cool local restaurant to check out, or here's what's happening this weekend. Just stuff that someone in the local area would care about. Anyways, long story short, I think it was in 18 months, he went from being brand new to being number 3 countrywide
Wow.
doing this. And he said one of his biggest keys to success was doing this Friday newsletter. He said all the training they gave him, he's like, 1, I did the opposite of what they told me to do. And 2, he was like, this newsletter it was crazy how powerful it was, because what would happen is, as you sent the message out, and again, this was from more of a close relationship he built with that person. So he sends them a restaurant recommendation. Maybe they hit him back saying, hey, like, I've actually been in this restaurant before. We should go check out this one time. And from there, business just flowed. So it's amazing. Like, not only think about attracting new customers on the front end, but think about ways to build deeper relationships with the customers you have using email on the back end.
And even if you aren't doing any of that right now, or you don't even have an online store, try and gather that email at the checkout. If you do have a checkout at this current moment, but yeah, I always find that like you can build a list so quick through that, and
there's so much value in that list.
Yeah, And even if it's a small list, you know, even if you have 100 people on that list, 50 people on that list, you know that they're buyers, you know that they like your brand, you know that they're going to come back.
Totally. And there's so many services. I think I forget, and this will obviously change as time goes on,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of services for the first 500 customers that you add. It's actually sending emails free. So it's not like
Crazy.
there's even a cost to do this. I think MailChimp's like that. Sendlane might be like that. Maybe GetResponse, Aweber. There's so many, you know, good services out there. You can really pick and choose what you want. But any of those would really work to do this. And again, just build a deeper relationship, offer them something of value, give them a reason to do business with you, and remain on their radar. It'll go farther than you may think.
Perfect. Well, that's all, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video about why you should bring your small business online and start selling to the people. See you on the
Thanks,
next
guys.
one. Bye.